2 years ago, as a student, I rented an apartment on the edge of town. The apartment wasn't big, 2 small rooms, a bathroom and toilet, a closet, and a kitchen. That was it. I was forbidden to look into the pantry, where the old white door led, and I was indifferent to it. My hobbies were too different from prying into other people's secrets. At that point in my life, I was such an infantile person that even if I had found out about the corpse, I would have ignored it, going on with my infantile life. One difficult night before an exam, I went to bed at 3 in the morning. A very good time for the wicked, you must agree. My notes were laid aside, my bag was packed and standing by the door. Dirty dishes were piled up in the sink, and my eyes were slipping. I did not even brush my teeth, and without making my bed, I lay down on the crumpled sheets and drifted off to sleep. I was drawn to myself by a strange noise. It seemed as if someone was breathing over my soul. I opened my eyes and blinked, getting used to the darkness. There was a drawer by the door with a telephone on it. The month was shining through from the window. Somewhere someone was coughing. Somewhere there was another sigh. Must be a draft, I thought. Closed my eyes, rolled over on my side, and suddenly I heard, "Man, you have kidney stones. Did you know that?" The voice was senile and hoarse. It's hard to describe my state of mind when those words hit my ears. My eyes opened in an instant. Sweat broke out on my forehead. My heart was pounding. "Man, can you hear me? It's the neighbors," I thought frantically. It must be the neighbors. The walls here are thin, so someone's joking. Quickly glancing around the apartment, I noticed a silhouette in the corner, near the nightstand with the phone and the door. It was small, as tall as a child, black with darkness, and smelled strongly of some wilderness, pine and hay. And that silhouette was looking at me. He hadn't been there a few seconds before. When he grabbed my leg, I screamed. "Be quiet," the silhouette hissed. "You'll wake up the neighbors. There's a former paratrooper living above you. You'd better not wake up the dashing." Who are you?" I asked, figuring it was definitely a neighbor. "Who gave you a key?" "Nobody. I used to live here, in the storeroom." "You got kidney stones, man. Go get yourself checked out, okay? I'm worried about you." "Who are you?" "The housekeeper." I don't believe it. It's your problem." It seemed to me that the ghost shrugged his shoulders. The toes continued to be massaged. After 10 seconds, the housekeeper gave it up and started going through them as if in search of gold. He took one toe, then another, examined it, then took the next. "What are you doing?" I asked. "No reason," he said. "I don't like your nails. They're yellow. It's a liver problem. I wish you'd stop eating that junk you're always bringing." "I heard you," I said dryly, my throat dry. "That's good. And don't forget your kidneys." "Well, I'm off." And he turned and went out into the corridor, where, a few seconds later, the door slammed. Not the front door, but the white one from the storeroom. I continued to lie there, afraid to move, and stared at the ceiling. My ears were alert, preparing to hear footsteps again. My heart was about to jump out of my chest, and my head only remembered the image of that old man. Yes, I managed to see him when my eyes got used to the darkness. A short, tall man, wearing a white shirt wrapped in some kind of rope, a thick beard and long hair, and boots. I saw them at the very moment when the old man put one foot on the sofa. I don't know why. Yes, I guess that's what a housekeeper should look like. I didn't go to the university the next day. I was too nervous. Instead, I searched the closet, found no one there, freaked out, and immediately moved out. I don't care about the stress. I'll tell you something else. About a week later, my feet carried me to the hospital. The housekeeper's words worried me too much. I went to several doctors' offices, and they found kidney stones in my kidneys, and soon they were safely removed. In 2015, I went to my mother's house for a sleepover. It was a private house. The rooms were one behind the other, and I slept in the one farthest from the entrance. The house itself is located inside the courtyard, without opening a fairly high gate to get in, which is quite difficult. I woke up in the night from a knock on the front door. While I was awake, I realized that someone was with me, so I got up and went to open it. I go through the room that separates my and my mother's bedroom. The knocking is becoming more insistent, and already hear my mother's voice at the door, for some reason with some uncharacteristic notes of pity. "Julia, well, open up." To understand, the darkness in the house is absolute. Closed shutters, I pass Mom's bedroom, a few meters to the front door, to cross the kitchen, and at that moment Mom's voice from the bed, "Do not open, I'm here," and there, not me. I don't know what it is. After that, the knocking stopped. While I was awake, I didn't even feel the creepiness, turned around, and went to bed. And in the morning, my mother told me that after that she also woke up to a knock on the door and my voice, literally begging to open the door. But she decided first to see if I was there by chance. Of course, I was asleep, and my mother did not open the door to the unknown Henna. By lunchtime, this story had a very strange continuation. My husband also calls and asks me, "Are you sure you're okay?" I asked him what made him think anything was wrong. He was quiet for a while, and then he said, "I had the same dream several times during the night, as if something big was walking around my mother-in-law's house and trying to get in, pulling the door. I do not know what it was, but then I read here that it was forbidden to open the door, otherwise you would be bringing trouble into the house." At the moment, my husband took a job object from which he often returns after midnight. I prefer to close in the evening the second door in the house, although there is no special need for it. The first to the code lock, the code which change almost every day, for her stairs to the second floor, then veranda, and then only the second door. The other day, around midnight, I hear a knock on the second door. My husband returned. I go to open it, and at the same time I think, it's strange, neither the lower one slammed, nor did I hear his car as he drove up. And something made me just before the door to ask, "Andrew, are you?" And silence in response. I asked again, though the knocking was not repeated. Silence. I thought, whatever it is, go to hell, I will not open. I call him. He's still at the site, but he'll be here soon. In the second hour of the morning, I heard his car pull up. I put the kettle on. I go to open it, and I catch myself thinking that he does not come in. You cannot hear the lower door. I looked out the window. There is no car. In the garage, he would not have had time to drive it so quickly, and the gate in the garage is very noisy, impossible not to hear. I go to pour the tea, and there is a knock on the door. After what happened an hour ago, I think, and I'll ask who it is that has visited us. Of course, the answer was silence again. I call him, but he has just left. Half an hour later, there is another knock on the door. Before that, again his engine, but already the sound of the lower door. I have already experienced this night, so I did not even look out the window. Better to ask the knocker. "Andrew, are you?" "Mother, what are you? And who else?" I opened it. This time it was him. "Why did you suddenly decide to ask?" "Nothing. It's just that this is the third time you've come in the last couple of hours." He did not ask, and I did not tell, so now I share with you. This story happened not long ago. I was home alone. I was crocheting, so I was sitting there, and I heard someone knocking on the window. This is quite strange, because I live on the 6th floor, and to get on our fucking balcony, you have to be Spider-Man. I shuddered. It happens to me when something abruptly happens. I thought maybe it was my neighbors. After about a minute, the knocking was repeated. I was afraid to move, looking for an excuse. I sat in silence for another 2 minutes, waiting. What if I imagined it? What if it was an elaborate prank? After gathering myself a little, I continued knitting, and then, remembering the headphones, I reached for them. They were lying on the table next to the couch. Just as I touched them, there was a loud thud against the glass. I cried out. I climbed onto the couch with my feet up, staring in horror at the curtained window. The whole time I hadn't seen what was going on behind it. Honestly, I didn't want to see. I listened and realized that there was something rustling behind the back of the couch. I also felt cold and uncomfortable at home, and of course, like in any horror movie, the lights went out. The rustling continued behind me. It was as if 1,000 little feet ran across the ceiling. This terrible stomping made me cry. At that time, the glass was struck again, and again, and again, as if they were beating out the rhythm. The stomping continued. There was still rustling behind me, only louder and more insolent, to spite me. But it didn't make me angry. The fear took over me. Suddenly, someone pulled my hair. I could see from my side eye that they were pulling on the couch. It hurt, and I screamed. The noise didn't stop. It was driving me crazy. I felt a terrible pain. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. And then, it was like someone hit the window with a bat with all their might. I heard a crack in the glass. I knew that whoever was behind the window was close and about to burst into the house, and that what was going on around was his mischief. I waited for the final blow. The glass wouldn't hold and he'd come in. I couldn't escape. Something behind the couch was still holding my hair. Tears rolled from my eyes in a hail of tears. There was a final crash and the glass shattered to pieces. All those sounds seemed to tear at my brain. I prayed. It went quiet. I was in shock. My hair let go, but I didn't immediately pay attention. I stared at the window and watched the curtain slowly rise. I could see someone's silhouette behind it. I thought, that's it, honey, it's over. But the worst was ahead. I felt strange, like I was not sitting on the couch, but on something else. Someone was clearly touching me. I was afraid to look away from the window because he was still behind the curtains. I made up my mind, though, and let my eyes drift downward. And then I saw someone's horrible, filthy hands on my waist. It was like someone was holding me with their fingers interlocked. I realized what I was sitting on. I no longer had the strength to scream. It was as if I was surrounded. I passed out. I woke up in the morning to the phone ringing. The light in the apartment was on. A friend had called, asking how I was. For some reason, I answered that everything was fine. We agreed to meet at a cafe to chat. I acted as if nothing had happened. After hanging up the phone, I went to the window. I lifted the curtain. The glass was intact. And the apartment was clean, too. Maybe I was overworked. Maybe I hadn't noticed that I'd fallen asleep and couldn't tell the difference between dream and reality. But the facts say otherwise. I woke up crying, and my head hurt a lot, as if I'd really been pulled by my hair. And another thing, when I was vacuuming after that, I found some shards of glass. How am I supposed to stay home alone now?